Well, welcome everybody back to the Flying Doghouse. Leg 3 of our North Carolina cross-country tour. We're going to fly today from Smith Reynolds, which is in Winston-Salem. And we're going to take a tour across the Greensboro area, which is KGSO. That'll be our destination. We're going to make our way to Air Harbor and also to Causey, two general aviation airfields that I had some seat time flying in and out of, as well as KGSO. All right, so with that, when we come back, we're going to be sitting at the end of the runway at Smith Reynolds, ready to take off. Let's get going. Okay, we've gotten our takeoff clearance and we are ready to depart Smith Reynolds. So, parking brake coming off and engine coming up. And we are up and away. And we're going to make our way to the southeast over to Causey. We're going to visit one of my old haunts. Jump outside the plane. Flaps up. So we're going to have a spin in this 152 Aerobat. So we are headed to the southeast of Greensboro. And we'll take in some scenery here. Yeah, it's very cold in the Carolinas. We've had, believe it or not, more snow. Actually got a little bit here in Charlotte, a dusting anyway. So I'm still working my way through the utilities series, along with struggling from the cold and flu. So that's not been fun. So I apologize for the voice. It'll take us about 15 or 20 minutes to get over the Causey. We should be well on our way to being over there. And this airfield actually was terrifying for me as a very young student pilot. I really felt like I was landing in someone's driveway. Of course, I also thought I was going to stall and die at Piedmont Triad International, flying over the tank farm near the airport. Funny what your mind does to you. So my first landing approach was, shall we say, well above the stall speed. Oh, me. And my flight instructor was quite amused by the whole affair. Along with hanging the nickname Speed Racer on me. Anyway, we're just having a fly out to a navigational aid here, and then we'll turn and make our way over to Causey. Just take in some of this scenery. Lots of farmland here. A few vineyards scattered here and yon. Golf courses galore. And a little bit of rolling terrain, but it's mostly flat. It's not Wisconsin flat, but it's flat. So there are a few smaller general aviation airfields in this area too. Right now we are between Winston-Salem and High Point. And for a very, very long time, High Point was the furniture capital of the universe. Every year we have the furniture market in High Point. And quite a few furniture manufacturers kind of scattered around and about in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, and Tennessee. And there are lots of places in the area to grab some very good Lexington-style barbecue. And if you like chopped pork, this is one of the places to do some sampling. Yeah, I think we're probably about 18 miles out now. So lots of these communities kind of run together. High Point and Archdale and Jamestown, all right here in a very, very short distance from each other. So this would be in the Piedmont Triad International Airport airspace. And probably 8 or 9 miles out from there. And I believe I mentioned this in the previous flight. Lots of NASCAR teams in and around this area. All right, let's see. Our current wind is 276. It variable really between 2 and 5 knots. And I'll go ahead and start managing some altitude here. I need to drop down a bit. So lots of boating and camping and fishing opportunities in the area for sure. Along with a lot of historical sites to visit. Including the Battle of Guilford Courthouse that was fought here during the Revolutionary War. Very much a tactical and strategic defeat for the British Army, which subsequently led to their retreat to Yorktown, which is where Cornwallis would have surrendered. Anyway, the park is quite lovely. There are lots of historical encampments and things that have been preserved and markers and all those other fun things to explore. So it's definitely a very neat attraction, along with the zoo, which has grown considerably. And there's also a planetarium there. So if you're interested in animals and science, there's also that opportunity on the same property. Okay, so for Causey, our runways are 02 and 20. And we'll have another small airfield off to our 9 o'clock. Southeastern Greensboro. I don't remember I see AO codes off the top of my head. I guess we'll come around and we'll make our touch and go on 20. Although we won't have any form of tailwind at all. I suppose we could jump back inside the plane here. Yeah, and I noticed my trim wheel was not responding, so we'll restart SPED next. And at our 11 o'clock, there is southeast Greensboro. All right. Let's jump outside the plane here again. And just off our right wingtip is North Carolina Highway 22 East. We'll go probably about another mile and then we'll or two, and then we can go ahead and start getting ourselves into the circuit. And I won't share the number of years it's been since I've flown into this airport. I'll just say it's been a minute. I think that's probably a real good way of putting it. Although in some ways it feels like it's been 5 minutes ago that I worked my way through taking the FAA written. Alright, there we go. We're almost to our first touch and go. I'm really interested to see what this looks like in Flight Sim 2024. Yeah, there we go. There's Causey. So this would be no tower to talk to here. What I do remember distinctly is a road not too far from the threshold of the runway 20, and there were power lines there as well. So I was all a dither about that, and managing the anxiety of a different flight instructor. Get a little bit more engine RPM here. I'm going to extend this out just a touch. And then we'll turn back in. Alright, so we got 15 degrees of flap here. And we'll work our way back around to runway heading. There we go. I can tell you from memory that there was not this much open field. But the flight sim is just a marvelous, it's marvelous in terms of all of its accuracy, and we get spoiled with not dealing with moving dots on the screen, and this is very, very lifelike. Yeah, I do remember the fueling station being there. And feeling like the buildings were right up on top of the runway. So from that perspective, pretty accurate. And there was not this clearing here either, but again, it's been a minute. It was mostly trees here at the end of 2. Alright. We'll swing our way back around. It seems like the sim is doing some funny things in terms of streaming and sound tonight, but we'll make do with that. All right. Next destination. A little airfield I used to call Scare Harbor. It's Air Harbor. Air Harbor is, there is a handcrafted airport for Air Harbor available on Flightsim.to that is available for your download. Has a little bit of charm. All right, we'll jump inside the plane here for a minute or three. Change it up a bit. So this is the acrobatic variant of the 152. I don't know that I have ever done a stall test in this one. We can do that as we make our way over toward Air Harbor and get some altitude here. Come off on our rate of climb a little bit. Doody doo diddy doo. Get up to at least 3,500 feet. So I think on our next leg, for our North Carolina tour, we will take off from Greensboro and we'll hit some of the general aviation airfields between Greensboro and Raleigh. And we can land at Raleight Durham. That can be our next explore. All right, so 2,500 feet here. Maybe another minute or so on climb. All right, we are now passing through 3,000. Get another couple hundred feet here. All right, we'll do this power on. We'll see how it behaves. Stall warning. And it's just kind of washing around, and it did drop a wing. Oh, there you go. And get ourselves back on our course here. Air trim adjusted. And we'll jump back outside again. So lots of interstate traffic through the Greensboro area. What else would I tell you about Greensboro? All right, I mentioned Guilford Courthouse. At one point in time, this was one of the major denim manufacturing area in the United States. We had Cone Mills located here. And this was also the headquarters of Wrangler, who manufactured jeans. And for a period of time, the research and development facility for Levi Strauss was also located here. So lots of textile manufacturing. Lots of colleges and universities in the area. And there was some activity here with manufacturing for the space shuttle program as well. Every once in a while we would end up seeing some NASA folks fly in with their trainers. And as I mentioned earlier, lots of different golf courses in the area. And it's pretty hot and humid here in the summer. And as far as winter weather is concerned, it's really catch as catch can here in the Greensboro area. Certainly they get more snow here than we end up dealing with in the southern Piedmont, where Charlotte is located. All right, so we are coming up on the major water reservoir here. This is Lake Townsend off our nose. If you're interested in downloading Air Harbor, the ICAO code for that is W88, Whiskey 88. And it is available over on Flightsim.to. Well, I went to university here. And just for grins and giggles on this flight route, I'm taking us pretty much over the top of the neighborhood that my wife and I built our first house in. And there is a beautiful 36-hole golf course not too far from where we're at right now. Well, I spent quite a bit of time on it back in the day. All right, we'll get ourselves slowed up here. Make our way a little further over toward the lake. And we'll see how this is modeled in 2024 as well. This is still a bit of an explorer for me with the new sim. And as I mentioned, this is a major water reservoir for this area. And you can see part of the golf course over here off the 9 o'clock. Alright, get ourselves slowed up a little further. Got a little flap action going here. Still don't have the airfield in sight yet. And I am definitely being way too much of a tourist. And one of the landmarks I remember is that bridge that's over here off of our now 4 o'clock. Yeah, we're almost there. Yeah, I had that wrong. There's our bridge. This is Lake Brant. Ah, yes, and the power lines. make our way just a little bit further out and then we can make our turn. Get 15 degrees of flap here. There we are. I guess we'll take ourselves midfield and then we'll make our turn. So this is a pretty comfortable airspeed, I think, to make our approach in. Oh, this one's also narrow as well. And here we go with the sound doing funny things again. And this is why I remember it being called Scare Harbor. And here we go. Here, start taking back in some flap. And we are going to make our way over to Greensboro and then we'll be done. We're going to head for runway 32 in Greensboro. We'll recreate my flying over the tank farm flashback. All right, downtown Greensboro is at our 11 o'clock. Yeah, for a while I was in college, I worked at KGSO. Worked for one of the airlines that had an outstation here. Goodness gracious, that was a lot of fun. We got to do all sorts of things. And loving airplanes the way I do, it was just a totally awesome experience. I got to meet a lot of great people. All right. Greensboro skyline here off to our 9 o'clock. And I do have the a payware version of KGSO installed. And that airport has evolved significantly since I worked here. They've added a parallel runway. The 23 right is the new strip, and they're building a third, if I'm remembering correctly. Honda Jet has a facility here. So does Boom Aviation. Almost all the way down now to the or the last half or middle third of the feathers for the ILS approach for runway 32. I'm going to visual my way in. And I believe the elevation of the airport is 926 feet. Of course, it varies depending on the locations and the runways. I think 897 is maybe the lowest. But I think runway 32 is 926. At least that's the number I have stuck in my head from a minute or three ago. All right, so we can come off the throttle here. I'm living up to my namesake here. It looks like most of the tank farm is being rendered as buildings instead of the fuel tanks. We'll wait and see. We'll get a little closer. And this is one of the largest bulk breaking points for gasoline on the East Coast of the U.S. Yeah, they're rendered as tanks. Oh, they're rather polygony, but you get the idea. And this was actually the very first runway I landed on. We're in good shape as far as airspeed's concerned here. Looks like we got good colors on the PAPI lights. Good runway picture here. And we will land, and then we will cross the taxiway and park over here on the left-hand side of the airfield, which would have been where the original terminal would have been. It looked more like a bus station from my my youthful recall. Just let her settle down here on the runway, and we'll take the next taxiway. There we go. Ah, yeah, we got ourselves loaded up just fine. All right, we'll go ahead and make our way across here. We got a Black Hawk helicopter over here off our nose. I think this is just as good a place as any to leave it. All right, hope you enjoyed the Greensboro tour. Took a minute for me to get the bearings at Air Harbor, but there we go. A little bit of a trip down memory lane here for the doghouse. All right, if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you as a subscriber on the channel. And I hope everybody is keeping well. Until next time. Cheers, y'all.